What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, back again with another deck profile. Today I'm super excited to finally be able to bring you this profile. This is Ghostie leader Beatrice. So a couple of you guys have been asking for this. I just needed to test this deck out a lot more, I feel like, than other decks, just because this is not quite like a helmet deck. It's not very straightforward. A lot of different choices you have to make as a player and just adapting to your own playstyle, honestly. So I made the decision. I'm just gonna, spoiler alert, I didn't include Nightrose in here. I'll explain a little bit later why. I'll timestamp that in case you do want to skip ahead, but I think that I'm looking for a more bulky playstyle with this deck. I feel like that just lended itself to be the more favorable playstyle that I wanted to go with, and I'm going to show you the card choices that I made to kind of go along with that. So without further ado, let's hop right into the video and I'll explain all the details. Alright, before we begin, I just wanted to thank everybody. Thank you guys so much. We are at 350 subs. If you are new to the channel and do learn anything during this profile, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button, possibly leaving a like on the video. Much appreciated. But let's jump right in without any further delay. We are starting off, no surprise here, with 4 of Ghostie leader Beatrice. So her skill, on Van or Rearguard circle one place, we get to Soul Blast 1 and call a card not named Ghostie leader Beatrice from your drop zone to your Rearguard circle. Its second skill continues on Vanguard circle. All of your units with Ghostie in their card names on your Rearguard circle or Guardian circle get intercept and an additional 5k attack and 5k shield. Its third skill, this is a whole mouthful over here, Vanguard circle auto. When your Rearguard is retired by a card's ability, during your turn, counterblast 1 and call a card with Ghostie in its card name and a grade less than the grade you retired of the unit you retired, to your drop zone to Rearguard circle. So comboing off with a couple other cards we're going to see in the deck profile a little bit later in order to replace themselves and scale down the grade chain in order just to get off like a multi-attack. Really effective. That third skill is nice in a protect deck to get such like a guaranteed multi-attack, and for them to be powered up with that additional 5k sitting on another protect marker, which is another 5k, and there's another unit that gets another 5k inherently, and so on and so forth. And it just really makes a powerful chain, like very impactful overall, and you're not really using your counterblast. I know it does have a cost, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. So this becomes almost costless. The first skill is really nice too. Just a Soul Blast doesn't really hurt in this deck at all. Not a lot of units Soul Blast in Granblue. So to Soul Blast, put something into your drop zone and then call something out is still really nice. And it doesn't have to be a Ghostie either. It could be anything, which really allows you to call a plethora of things. And this makes it pair really well with Nightrose. I'll explain that later in the video, like I said, but I chose again to just run pure Ghostie, and then obviously just having that bulky intercept ability and the 5k shield added to all of your units. It really makes you just defensively so much more capable than so many other decks out there. Like if you sit there with Ghosties on your field, like you barely have to guard from hand. You can pretty much outlast any other deck. The only thing that you might want to watch out for is honestly decking out. So super nice card. I really love this. This is probably, if I had to say, this is probably the best deck out of Clan Selection Volume 1, so I'm really enjoying it, and I think this is definitely a classic, very nice Granblue playstyle. Next up, we are running 2 of this guy. This is our main beater. This is Dragon Undead Skull Dragon. So it got reprinted in Clan Selection. Very nice. Its skill continues in hand. This card cannot be normal called, and its second skill continues on Van or Rearguard circle. During your turn, this unit gets an additional 2,000 for each card in your drop zone. So really making this powerful. And then its third skill, auto on Rearguard circle. At the end of battle that it attacked, retire this unit. So putting itself back in the drop zone, abandoning your field, making sure that, maybe you can't get bound out for Narukami or targeted by other card effects. So very effective in that regard. But this is really your main finisher in the deck. I think that once you pop this guy down with your, drop zone filled with cards, it's not hard to do at all in this deck or any Granblue deck really. You're going to be swinging for a really powerful attack. So this in combination with the multi-attack of the Ghostie chain, I feel like just really thins out your opponent's hand and allows you to just put that finishing blow. So we're just running them at 2 up. I think that's a healthy ratio. 3 gets a little bit bulky, I think, and we don't have Nightrose, so we're not trying to go for that double Skull Dragon multi-attack, but overall, very effective. Moving into our grade 2s then, we are looking at 3 of Jessie the Ghostie. Its skill, act on drop zone. We get 2 costs, retire 2 rearguards not named Jessie the Ghostie, and call this card to Rearguard circle. This ability may only be used with the card with the same name once per turn. Its second skill, auto on Rearguard circle. When it attacks, this unit gets an additional 5k until the end of battle, and at the end of that battle, retire this unit, and if you did not countercharge from the ability of Jessie the Ghostie, this turn we get to countercharge 1. So like I said before, with the Beatrice, basically you're costing a counterblast, but you're also refunding a counterblast, and there's also another grade 1 in here too that helps do the same exact thing in a way. So the reason I'm running 3 of this is that you can only use this first ability once per turn. Once you have one of them in the drop zone, it's really easy to get them out. I feel like it just gets a little cloggy once you have 2, and you can't too many of them in your hand or in the drop, whatever the case may be, and you can only countercharge once per turn off of his effect. So I think 3 is the correct ratio. I think I've seen some other people run that at that ratio as well. Some people do run it at 4, but I think 3 is absolutely fine. We do mill in this deck. We do have our drop zone pretty filled up. It's not hard at all to get that guy. Next up, we are running 4 of this guy. This is the grade 2. This is Greed Shade. So again, this did get reprinted in Clan Selection Volume 1, which is very nice. Makes it a little bit more affordable. Its skill continues on Van or Rearguard Circle. During your turn, if your drop zone is 10 or more cards, this unit gets an additional 5k. Its second skill, Auto on Rearguard Circle. When placed, costs discard a card from your hand, put 2 cards from the top of your deck into your drop zone, and return a card not named Greed Shade from your drop zone to your hand. So this is important because a lot of cards actually allow us to call units to the rearguard circle, but not put it into our hand. And we do have cards that activate from hand in here, so very nice in that regard. And we do get to mill a little bit off of him. He gets that extra plus 5k. If we do want to sit on him and actually attack, it could still hit some force numbers, which is really nice. So overall, milling recurring resources, discarding from hand, maybe to get the Skull Dragon or whatever the case may be out of our hand. So very, very essential card. I think this card still deserves a spot at a 4 of. Very, very nice card. Really helps our entire drop zone become like a toolbox, or like a piggy bank, I like to call it in Granblue. All right, moving on to our next grade 2, another card that we've seen before. This is Pirate Swordsman Columbard. Now its skill, Auto on Van or Rearguard Circle. When placed, you get to counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 card, put it into your drop zone, shuffle your deck, and call up to 1 card from your drop zone to Rearguard Circle. This ability may only be used by the card with the same name once per turn. So very essential for getting out things, cherry picking things from your deck, putting it into the drop zone, and getting it out of that piggy bank and onto the field. So you can dump something here. This also allows for a very aggressive play. I'll show you with the card right after on your grade 2 turn. But really very self-explanatory. Like, you're putting whatever you need in the drop zone. You're calling something to Rearguard Circle. If you want to, you can, call a Beatrice to your drop. You can call, another grade 1 that activates from drop, whatever it is. Like, this card is just so amazing. Like, if this utility was put into any other deck, it would be used at a 4 of in every single clan. So really have to use this at a 4 of. Unfortunate that it did not get reprinted, but I understand the set came out so quickly, so soon, so can't really reprint that. Moving on to our next card. This is kind of spicy. Not a lot of people run this, but definitely an option. This is actually Ben the Ghostie. So his skill, Auto on when put into the drop zone from deck, we get to Soul Blast 1 and call this unit to Rearguard Circle. So this can be either just helps out with an aggressive grade 2 turn. When you ride Columbard, you can drop him to your drop zone and then activate his skill. And if you have something in your drop zone already, you can use Columbard's other skill to get another rearguard out. So you could fill your board on a grade 2 and really get that aggressive board going. This can also pair with a grade 1 that we run as well, and just again allows for an aggressive either going second grade 1 turn, or you're going first grade 2 turn. So I'm running it at a 1 of. I don't think we see it. It doesn't see much use later in the game. I think it really is just there for that early game pressure. Moving on then to our next grade 2, we are running one of Stormride Ghost Ship. So this is still in here, still a solid card overall. Its skill continues in hand. This card cannot be normal called. Can't be called the Guardian Circle either. And its auto skill on Rearguard Circle, when it attacks, this unit gets an additional 15k until the end of that battle. And then at the end of the battle, draw a card and retire this unit. So I feel like this is a good mid-game push because, again, if you're trying to be a little bit more aggressive, like let's say you have this in the drop zone for whatever reason, you pull off a Columbard play, you get a Ghostie, Ben the Ghostie, this, and in addition, if you pop this guy out at the same time too, like your grade 2 turn, you're recurring resources back. You are putting that pressure on with the 24k hit. So even if they do hit a trigger, you're still threatening for a hit. I just think it does deserve a spot in the game, and I find that it plays out a little bit better in the mid game. If you're really trying to increase your hand size, you can pop this down too, but very solid card. And our whole entire deck, our whole entire drop zone is a toolbox, and as such, I am running it just at that 1 of. Moving on then to our grade 1. So we're starting off with an awesome new card that they created. This is Damien the Ghostie. Its skill, Auto on Van or Rearguard Circle when placed from hand. Search your deck for up to 1 card with Ghostie in its card name, put it into your drop zone, and then shuffle your deck. The second skill, auto on rearguard circle. At the end of battle that it attacked, if you have a Vanguard with Ghostie in its card name cost, retire this unit. And if you did not, countercharge from the ability of Damien the Ghostie this turn, we get to countercharge 1. So extremely effective to just boom, one place from hand, you search your deck, put a card into the drop zone. Again, if you are going second and this is your grade 1 turn, you can drop him to drop zone, pop him out, get a card back in from the Soul Blast into your drop zone, and just have that aggressive grade 1 turn. Also, if you need that grade 2 Ghostie, this helps put that there too. Any Ghostie you need, this really helps, and this is, I mean, so essential. This is nice too to pair with Greed Shade, because if you pop this back to hand and then call him down, you just put whatever Ghostie you want into the drop zone. So extremely useful there. This is also used in the multi-attack chain, so you would go from the Jesse the Ghostie into this Damien into another card I'll show you in just a second. So giving yourself some options here. Just an awesome card, and again, amazing utility. I think the utility that Granblue kind of sees is unparalleled in any other clan. So very, very effective overall. Moving on then to another Ghostie. This is an oldie but goldie. It came out in the, when did this come out? In the Butterfly to Moonlight set. This is Tommy the Ghostie Brothers. Its skill continues on Van or Rearguard Circle during return. If your drop zone has 5 or more cards, this unit gets an additional 5k. Its second skill too, when placed from hand, we look at 5 cards on the top of our deck, add a grade 3 to hand, and then if we did add a grade 3 to hand, we discard a card from our hand. So again, just the typical grade 3 searcher for standard. This is good too, because if you find like a Skull Dragon, you can immediately add it to your hand, drop it. You know, if you're looking for that ride consistency, go grab that Ghostie out, that Beatrice, and a discard from hand doesn't help us defensively necessarily, but again, it puts cards into our drop zone, which is our piggy bank, so it doesn't hurt as much as in a lot of other clans. It's nice too, because the first ability is very easy to get in this deck, so if you're boosting your Vanguard then, which doesn't get like a ton of power overall, it's really your rear guards that are getting the power, this kind of helps out, because it becomes an 18k attacker from Beatrice's 5k skill, its own 5k skill, so that becomes 18 overall, which is a nice booster. So yeah, running it at 3 of, I think in the Nightrose deck you could probably cut it, but in the Ghostie deck, it has that Ghostie name, it helps you with that searchability. You want to be riding every turn just to get your maximum amount of Protect 2 markers, which I find myself mainly using in this deck. I'll explain that also in the Nightrose versus the Ghostie Pure build. But moving on to our next grade 1, I'm running 2 of this guy. This is Cyril the Ghostie. His skill is continuous on rear or guardian circle. If your drop zone is 15 or more cards, this unit gets an additional 10k and an additional 10k attack and 10k shield value. So again, not very hard to get. It's not hard to get 10. Once it's 15, like that is a little bit more difficult, but definitely not unachievable in this deck. We're still running some milk cards yet to be seen, but extremely powerful overall. Like an 18k plus that 5k makes you have that 23k attack. If you boost with this card too, it's just really nice. Like you can play this from hand, hold out for your final kind of multi-attack chain. If you want to go from Jesse the Ghostie straight into him, you can do that too, because this is a grade 1, so very effective. I think running it at 2 of is correct. If you run it at a 1 of and it gets damaged out, it kind of hurts. And this guy really does help to boost, and it becomes extremely bulky on your field as well, because this becomes a 25k Guardian, and then if you're on a Guardian circle, on a Protect 2 marker, that becomes even more. So really, really helps with the bulk of this deck. I am definitely running this at a 2 of. Moving on to some non-Ghostie cards, then I'm still running this guy at a 2 of. Now, the next 2 cards are probably the biggest question mark in my head. Some games I want more, some games I want less, but this is 2 of Skeleton Sea Navigator. Its skill, act on rearguard circle, cost, rest 2 rearguards, and put 5 cards from the top of your deck into your drop zone. So I find that this is an essential card still, just because we are looking to accelerate our mill at times. It's not hard to mill at all in this deck, but this guy really helps in the early game. Just, you pop those down too. When you want to, like if you rest 2 rear guards, you can then retire them for the Jesse the Ghostie, because you don't want dead cards on your field necessarily as the game kind of progresses. So it becomes fodder for that, beefs up your drop zone, adds to that piggy bank. Sometimes I think I want this at 3, just because if I don't see it, sometimes it's a little bit slow. Like I don't want to manually have to put it in my drop and then call it out. I want to use essentially more valuable Ghostie kind of cards for that, but at 2 of, I think it definitely is healthy. And then the next card too, again, same deal. Sometimes I want more, sometimes I find that I want less. This guy is Witch Doctor of Powdered Bone, Negro Bone. So his skill, act in the drop zone, cost, discard a card from your hand, put this card on the bottom of your deck, and call a grade 1 from your drop zone to rearguard circle. If your drop zone circle has 10 or more cards, you may call any card regardless of grade. So again, just another really, really nice utility card. Once this is in the drop zone, it is drop zone fodder. So like if you're looking for the was the Ghostie brothers, for that grade 3, a discard for a greed shade, any kind of discard, you can put this in here and it does not hurt. It replaces itself. You basically get a little bit more utility out of it. So sometimes, like I said, I'm looking for a little bit more. Play with the ratios with whatever you feel is correct. Right now, I think 2 and 2, just the balance is working for me. I know some people bump this up to 3, but completely up to you. The utility in this card is just amazing. And our grade 1s are actually very powerful, unlike some our previous decks where we're really looking to get those grade 2s or 3s. Like grade 1s in this deck is very powerful. Moving on then to our last card in the main deck. This is actually one of Chappie the Ghostie. So his skill, auto on rear or guardian circle. When placed, if your drop zone has 10 or more cards, this unit gets an additional 10,000 and an additional 10,000 shield until the end of turn. So basically an easier version of Cyril to get out, not quite as powerful, but this is also really nice for the ride chain because you can go from a Jesse the Ghostie into the Damien and into Chappie. So you're getting off 3 pretty powerful multi-attacks, and this guy's still bulky, like I said. So the 10k plus its own 10k shield plus the 5k from our Beatrice makes this a 25k shield. On Protect 2, if you have this, like, it could be even more powerful. So this, again, really helps us stay bulky. Sometimes I've debated bumping this up, but when I did that, I just didn't find like utility was there. Like, if you damage check this, it really hurts if you can't heal it out, because this is like the final straw in the multi-attack engine, which is really nice. But I think running it at a 1-of is correct. If you get hit in the damage zone with that, it's just tough luck, I guess. Moving on then to our triggers, our rest of our grade 0s, I should say. I'm actually running 1 of the crit sentinels. I'm running 3 of the draw sentinels. And then I'm running 8 crit and 4 heals. So since this is a Ghostie deck, I am running the Ghostie. If you're a real Chad, I guess you can still go with the Banshee, and obviously the starter. But the Ghostie, Rick the Ghostie shares that Ghostie name, so if you need to, you can have this out on the field. It gets that additional intercept from the back row. It gets that additional 5k shield from the Beatrice. So overall, very, very bulky with that 25k shield. I think that in this deck, we are still looking to PG things out, because in the mirror match, it feels nice just to say, all right, I'm guarding your Skull Dragon, like, whatever. But I think, too, that we are bulky enough where we can sneak one of these in. Sometimes a 1-card discard from hand doesn't hurt as much. And in the late game, too, if you hit one of these draw triggers, you can help deck yourself out to a point where you don't really want to be at. So I think draws are very, in a mill deck in Granblue are very hit or miss sometimes, but right now I feel like the meta says that we definitely need to be running them. So overall, not a crazy trigger lineup, but a little tiny bit of spice in there for you guys. Yeah, let's move into just the discussion, Nightrose versus the Ghostie, and I will get into that right now. All right, so the big debate, Nightrose versus Beatrice. Is Beatrice just a support card for Nightrose? In my opinion, like I've kind of, I guess, demonstrated during this whole deck profile, it's not just a support card for Nightrose. Nightrose, the ceiling is a little bit higher, but the floor is also lower. I feel like Nightrose sometimes has a defensive problem. And putting the Ghostie, Beatrice in here doesn't help address that. It really just accelerates what the deck is good at. So like I said, the floor is lower just because it doesn't have the same defensive capabilities and kind of grindability that Beatrice does. I mean, yeah, it is a Protect clan, so you're going to get those markers in hand, which is really nice, but I think Beatrice just adds a whole new layer of just defensive option in general. So I prefer it for that reason, but I just want to show you guys a really quick combo and the reason that people play Beatrice in Nightrose. So let's say we're on Nightrose and we're going to counterblast 1 to replace a column. We are then going to call out 1 of our Skull Dragons and then 1 Beatrice to the back row. Now Beatrice's skill is a Soul Blast 1 for calling 1 placed Soul Blast 1, call out a card from our drop zone to rearguard circle. So you can call out 2 Skull Dragons. You could potentially, before we even use Nightrose's skill, have swung with both, retired both, called both back out with just 1 counterblast. So that makes it a lot less costly, than it was previously. I think that's the main allure of Nightrose at this point. But like I said, I think our closeout multi-attack is still very, very good in Beatrice, and just the level of defense that we have in comparison to Nightrose is just way, way better. So I think that if you play it smart, you can definitely last longer in games and still almost have the same closeout impact as Nightrose. Like I said, ceiling a little bit higher, but overall playability and just like level of consistency in Beatrice, like I feel like you're always almost in the driver's seat and you just have really, really aggressive turns overall. your opponent doesn't know which, grade 1 unit, grade 0 unit you can possibly go into. So very effective, and I think that is definitely my choice. Like, I don't want to combine these decks after playtesting it a little bit. So yeah. All right, let's go into a test hand. I'll show you guys just how this deck kind of plays out. I know it's a very complicated kind of deck. It's not as simple as some of the other stuff we've seen in Standard, so let's get into that. All right, let's shuffle up and get things going over here. If you want a deck that is competitive and, kind of thought-inducing, like you really have to actually plan out some of your turns and stuff here, like I really think this deck is just a winner in all categories. Design-wise, art-wise, playstyle is just awesome. I really, really, really like this deck. So I know the column bards cost a little bit, like they're probably $13, $14 each now, but aside from that, I think the rest of the deck is pretty cheap. You can even, try slotting something in just if you don't want to buy those right now. But let's see, we got a decent hand. Let's put back the critical trigger over here and let's draw a card. All right, cool. That's a good card, actually. Let's do it. We can, so long as we have Greed Shade and that Ghostie, the Damien, we can pretty much guarantee our ride chain, which is really nice. But let's see if we can manually draw into the Beatrice or search her out before that. So we're gonna pretend we go first. We're gonna stand and draw. Let's see, let's ride the, do I wanna ride that? Yeah, because we are going first, let's do that. All right, so we're going to ride that and draw off of the ride. We're also going to use its skill. Top 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see, do we hit? Yes, we do, which is very nice. So we're going to put her into our hand. So this freezes up for a little bit more aggressive turn 2 now. Otherwise, we would have to go and ensure that ride chain, which is really easy in this deck. Like, you should never miss ride. Let's discard a card from our hand. Let's actually discard the Negro Bone. All right, I'm gonna pass it over to our opponent here. Yeah, let's pass it over to our opponent and take damage for their turn. All right, stand and draw. All right, got another one. Very, very nice. We are actually going to, I'm gonna ride the, let's see, what do I wanna do here? I do ride the column bar. I'm going to then counterblast one, put a card from my deck into my drop zone. And actually put Ben the Ghostie in there. Activate Ben's skill. I'm going to then Soul Blast one. I always Soul Blast the Ghostie first and then call him to rearguard circle off of his own skill. And then we're going to use for the second part of his skill, we're just going to call Negro Bone out. We are then going to do what? What do I want to do? Who do I really want to return to my hand? So let's get, so we actually have him, so let's call him out first. We are then going to use his skill, put a Ghostie into our drop zone. Let's just put the Chappie in there just to make sure that we don't drive check it or do any weird kind of stuff with it. There is Chappie. I could do the grade 2 in there too, but I feel like it's easier to hit a 3 of than it is to hit a 2 of. Oh, whoops, I didn't shuffle that one in. I'm sorry, 1 of. I only run that Chappie at a 1 of. So kind of wanted in my drop zone guaranteed a little bit earlier. Let us then call down him. I am going to use his skill by when placed, discard a card, mill 2 cards, 1 and 2. Yeah, nice. See, I high rolled it and I actually got him in the drop, which is really nice. So then, how many cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, no Skull Dragon in there, but no big deal. I think that's everything that I want to do. So I'm going to open up. This is going to be 16, 8, and 8. This is going to be 9. Drive check. Boom. Nothing. All right. And this is going to be 8 plus 9. This is 17 also. And we're going to pass it over to our opponent. But this is why Ben kind of just allowed a little bit more of an aggressive turn. Like I created a full column here for pretty much just a counter blast, and I still got out bodies on the other side. So really nice in that regard. So passing it over to our opponent, let's say 2 damage, 1 and 2. All right, cool. So now let me just check my drop zone of what we have. Let me stand, I'm sorry, and draw. I'll ride first and then I'll check my drop zone, but I'm gonna call that protect marker. Let's do a little Cocytus one. I'm gonna call that right here. Sorry for the sloppy feel, jeez. All right, so let's get our mind in the right spot. What do I have? So I have 1, 2, but I don't have the other grade 1, the countercharge grade 1. So let's see, what can we do here for that? I'm gonna use her skill. Going to Soul Blast 1, put him into the drop. Then I'm going to call him out. I'm going to Counter Blast 1, add a card to the drop zone. Gonna add that grade 1 to the drop zone. There we go, adding that grade 1 to the drop zone. And then I'm going to call, whoops-a-daisy. drop in my cards. Then I'm going to add a card from the drop zone to the field. Let's make it easy. Let's just add him. There we go. All right, and we do have a Greed Shade actually in our hands. Yeah. So that I can get back the, what else do I want from here? Anything I want from here? No, not necessarily. I do kind of want a Skull Dragon. I'm gonna just replace the Ghostie here. There we are. I'm going to discard a card from my hand, and then I'm going to mill 2 cards, 1 and 2. Didn't get the Skull Dragon, but that's all right. Let's see, and then I'm gonna add a card to my hand. Let's add Ben the Ghostie, or Tommy, I'm sorry, Tommy. Then I'm going to call Tommy down. I'm gonna call it over this guy. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I do have 10 right now, which is cool. And let's search the top 5. Let's see if we hit a Skull Dragon off of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I really want to replace the Greed Shade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do hit this. I'm gonna add that to my hand. I'll probably ditch that as well. Don't really need that right now. Not gonna do anything defensively for me or anything. Yeah, let's ditch that. Anything else I want to do? Really want to replace this with a Ghostie. Let's see. Can't pop him out. Do I have a Negro Bone? No, but that's all right. All right, no big deal. Let us open up then. I'm going to swing with Jesse first. This is actually gonna be a 24k attack, 5k from the protect, 5k from himself, 5k from here. So then I'm going to use Jesse's skill then. I'm then going to retire himself. I'm gonna counterblast off her, but countercharge off of him, and then get out a Damien. Damien here. And then, yeah, I guess we'll swing with her now. So this is 13, 18 then, plus that is going to be, what is that, 30, right? Yeah, this is 30. Let's go 1 and 2. Let's do, wherever you want to assign the power. This column's just not exactly very powerful. We could probably put 1 there, but let's heal 1 out too. Yeah, always heal out the Ghostie. Let's do him. Then I'm going to swing. It's going to be 5-5. This is 18. 18. You can boost if you really want to. If you think that your opponent did hit a trigger, whatever the case may be. But using her skill again, counterblast, and then countercharge off of the Damien. I'm going to replace him now with the Chappie. So then Chappie gets an extra 10k plus the 5, so it's a 20k plus the extra 5, right? So this is 10, 15, 20, 25, 25 plus the 13 back here can make for a 38. So a really nice finishing column on there, swing over here. But I really wish this was a Skull Dragon, but it doesn't have to be. And like you saw, you can mill a lot for it. You could potentially get a lot more luck, but overall, my hand looks like it's at 4, but look how many ghosts I have on the field. 1, 2, 3. This is a 25k shield. This is actually, is it a 35k shield? This is his 10, 20, no, it's a 30k shield. This is a 15k, so, and these have intercept. This is actually a 25k shield also because it is the Ghostie, remember? So deck is a lot more bulkier than it seems. So overall, really, really nice. I'm glad I was finally able to bring this to you guys, sorry. This is, yeah. Let me know comments down below if you would change anything, what your experience with the deck has been. And this is Alex from Team Generations signing out.